Do you want to chill in game while doing maximum damage and letting your best boys do all the dirty work? In that case, you've come to the right place. Hello there, I'm Flame from Marcelian&Flame, and today I will teach you how to quickly hop into Beast Mastery with talents, a speedy rundown of your rotation, and tips and tricks so you can feel confident joining groups and getting loot. This season, once again, Pack Leader will be your go-to hero talent, focusing on summoning 3 different beasts that all do different things, but still boost your damage in combat. For your dungeon talents, you want to be using this build that will focus a lot on dealing as much AoE damage as you can while summoning a lot of beasts with the Dire Beast mechanic. In raids, you'll be sacrificing multi-shot and beast cleave with this build, but you will be gaining significantly more single target damage. Your priority and specialization here is dealing as much damage to the boss as humanly possible. And if you are a delve enjoyer or simply like to cruise in the open world, use this build right here, a more generic approach to Beast Mastery that has both AoE potential and single target damage for those pesky delve bosses or random rares. All of these builds can be found in the description with an import link that you can simply copy and paste into your talent loadouts, and you can find more details about them in Tarlo's guide on Wowhead, where he goes more in depth with more builds, even some that don't use multi-shot in dungeons. How does Beast Mastery work even? Before I get into that, these videos are sponsored and supported by our lovely Patreons that make a lot of content possible with more cool things to come. As a thank you to them, we give early access to most of our videos as well as other cool stuff down at patreon.com/Marcelian&Flame. If you find this video useful, consider checking our Patreon page with the link below. Thank you for all the support everyone has ever shown us. We really appreciate it. I'm sure you heard the memes about it being the simplest spec in the game and requiring no brain cells to operate, but as many times as we've heard that, we've also seen BM hunters barely mastering the basics. Your main damage source will unironically be your beasts. You have your main pet, which can be a part of one of 3 families: Ferocity, Cunning, and Tenacity. Ferocity pets give you access to your Bloodlust ability and supplement you with passive Leech. Cunning pets are mostly good for PvP as they can free you and it from roots and slows on top of giving you passive movement speed. These are usually PvP pets but can work in open world content as well. Tenacity is what you would really ideally want to have out since it comes with an extra defensive cooldown in Fortitude of the Bear, but also gives you a passive 5% health increase. Hunter is relatively squishy, so any bit helps. However, if you are the only person in your group with access to Bloodlust, you will have to use your Ferocity pet. And to make sure your pet does the most amount of damage, you have 2 main abilities to consider. Kill Command commands your pet to bite hard and deal most of its damage that way. It will also be your energy spender. Barb Shot will be your energy generator, but also applies a bleed to your enemies. I will tell you why this bleed is important in a second, and give your pet an attack speed buff that can stack 3 times. Both Kill Command and Barb Shot have charges, and you never want them to stay at cap. But for Barb Shot, you want to use it to constantly refresh the attack speed buff called Frenzy. Your main goal is to keep it at 3 stacks and never drop it. There are also a bunch of talents that benefit from you dealing bleed damage, like how Dire Beasts get spawned upon bleed damage dealt, and the fact that Barb Shot applies a strong bleed. In AoE, you will want to put this on multiple targets. The Frenzy buff stacks for your pet, but the bleed itself does not, so using it on one target multiple times doesn't really double or triple your bleed damage. Your main offensive cooldown will be Bestial Wrath that increases both yours and your pet's damage by 30%, and its cooldown is reduced by 12 seconds each time you fire a barbed shot. As you can see, all of these work synergistically in a nice flow, so messing up this flow can mess up your overall performance in turn. So to correct that, your opener will start with Barb Shot to get the ball rolling. Bloodshed next, followed by Barb Shot again, Kill Command, Barb Shot a 3rd time for that max Frenzy stacks, Kill Command again, and then use Bestial Wrath. You want to always deplete all your Barb Shot charges before Bestial Wrath, since popping the cooldown gives you 2 charges back from the Scent of Blood talent. Past this, you want to always use Bestial Wrath on cooldown, ideally once your Howl of the Pack Leader has less than 16 seconds remaining. And that's because your tier set benefits from you having 2 pack leader beast during your Bestial Wrath, and to accomplish that, you want to overlap the Bestial Wrath window with Howl of the Pack Leader when it has a low enough cooldown remaining that the second charge happens right as your Bestial Wrath is about to end. Barb Shot is next in line to fire, so you don't reach 2 charges of it. That wastes potential cooldown reduction of Bestial Wrath and sometimes risks you dropping the Frenzy attack speed buff from your pet. Always cast Bloodshed on cooldown as long as the other 2 points are already met, and as many kill commands as humanly possible, since it reduces the spawn timer of your pack leader beasts, aka the Howl of the Pack Leader cooldown I mentioned. A good rule the Hunter community came up with is to use kill command when you have more charges of it than Barbed Shot. This is how you can guarantee that you get 2 Howls inside of your Bestial Wrath window, so it's important to not waste a single kill command. After these conditions are met, use Barb Shot if you still have charges left, otherwise Cobra Shot as a filler. In AoE, the rotation is very similar with 2 minor changes. For your opener, you start with Barb Shot into Bloodshed and then another Barb Shot on a different target. Bestial Wrath next, followed by a multi-shot, then kill command, then Barb Shot a 3rd time on a 3rd target, then kill command again. With the AoE build, your Bestial Wrath gives you only 1 charge of Barb Shot back instead of 2, so you don't have to force yourself to fully deplete your Barb Shot charges, and spreading the bleed is something we already talked about for your max damage output. Once you are done with the opener, you want to prioritize Bestial Wrath as before, making sure to cast it if your Howl cooldown is less than 16 seconds. Then you want to use Barb Shot if one of the 3 conditions are met. You will reach 2 charges of the ability, making you lose out on potential casts. Use it if you have more charges of Barb Shot than kill command, similar rule as before, or use it if you are about to spawn a pack leader beast, since doing this reduces the cooldown of Barb Shot by 10 seconds, potentially capping you on charges. On top of Frenzy, in AoE you have another buff you want to maintain, which is Beast Cleave, and the main source of your AoE damage. Using multi-shot to keep this up is absolutely vital. If all of the conditions above have been met, cast Bloodshed on cooldown, kill command, and Cobra Shot, but only if you have 4 stacks of the Hogstrider buff from your pack leader hero talents. I kept mentioning the cooldown of your Howl of the Pack Leader, stacks of Hogstrider, and more, and all of these are tracked by our class weak auras that we made with a link in the description. You can also catch me playing Beast Mastery live on twitch.tv/Marcelian online, among other classes and specs, while doing dungeons and raids with viewers. If you have any questions, hop on there and we'll clear the air. Just doing damage is not what BM Hunter is about, and definitely wastes a lot of your potential as a hunter first and foremost. Never forget you have a super measly raid buff in Hunter's Mark that you still want to put on your target, mostly bosses, every time before starting combat. Although less impactful than the other 2 specs, Misdirection can still help with building aggro for your tank if you cast it on them, ideally at the start of a pull. Hunter has every single type of crowd control in the game, some with niche uses. These abilities are not the strongest of their kind, but the kit of CC and utility you can bring to the party is so large that most hunters forget half of it. You have 3 CC shots that can slow, knock back, or stun enemies in place, which with Pack Leader grips them back in, similar to how other classes do it. You can dispel buffs and enrages from enemies, and fear beasts, and of course stun your target. One key thing that you don't see enough hunters do is use the Emergency Solve talent, for which you can sacrifice something like 4% movement speed to get, and press Feign Death to remove poison and disease effects from you. Now let's not forget that Feign Death has so many uses we would need a whole video for it. Our advice is for you to actually browse your class talent tree and see for yourself how your utility kit can get. To start choosing and picking gear, you do need to know what stats are best for you, and whichever the case, if you want the absolute best answer, you'll have to go to raidbots.com and sim your gear. It's annoying because going to raidbots doesn't spawn extra dire beasts, so you can still follow a general stat priority that sees eye level, and especially weapon eye level, as the highest value possible. Haste is second in strength, followed by crit, mastery, and versatility, and counterintuitively, agility is your worst stat. We only recommend leaving out agility and potential eye level pieces with bad stats for last if you really know what you're doing and can play beast mastery at a high level. Stamina still needs to save your butt if your healer can't. Until further buffs happen to Dark Ranger, we will talk about pack leader tier set and oh, Maybe you haven't heard, but in this season, your tier set bonus changes based on your hero talents that are selected. The Pack Leader 2 set bonus increases pet damage by 5% and your Pack Leader beast damage by 15%. When you summon one of these beasts, you get 6% haste, mastery, or crit, depending on the beast summoned, lasting 8 seconds. The 4 set bonus makes summoning a beast while you have the lead from the front buff. Start a stampede at your target, dealing damage to up to 8 targets. The damage is huge. The lead from the front buff is what you get when you use Bestial Wrath, and why it is important to maybe sometimes delay casting Bestial Wrath if it means you can spawn 2 pack beasts during its window, giving you essentially 2 stampedes buffed by your Bestial Wrath. This will normally happen if you cast Bestial Wrath when your Howl of the Pack Leader has less than 16 seconds remaining, like we mentioned before. There is so much more to get into with Beast Mastery, and we recommend checking out Tarlo's guide in the description, but also joining the True Shot Lodge Discord, where you will find more guides and more information about more builds and playstyles that can spice up your Season 3 Beast Mastery adventures. And to never miss a single proc, buff, or cast that's important, check this video for our weak auras. I go into the details explaining what they do and what they track for all classes, but for Hunter as well.